right, good morning, everybody. Forgot I had a little light going on. Give me 1 second. All right, we are back in business with the big blue cave vibes. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Premarket Rundown for what is April 4th, 2023. This year just absolutely flying by. But this is our daily session, as always, where we go over all the news, notes, information, and most importantly, the mindset necessary to break that information. Excuse me, allergy season, but to break down that information in order to remain consistently profitable. So we're here putting in that good old effort to get 1% better. That's what we do, right? Consistency beats talent. It beats confidence, right? That's how you build confidence, is through consistency. So we're here to be consistent this morning and, to make sure that we're staying on top of things. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead as we get started and post this graphic to my Instagram story. That way everybody knows where to find us. Hope everybody had a nice, what is it, Monday night? I guess last night had a nice Monday night and a great Tuesday morning and is ready to get after it today. Looks like it'll be a great day once more. All right. Luckily, did not spill my protein shake this morning, which was a huge blessing. Starting today already off on a better foot than yesterday. All right, live now for this morning's pre-market rundown at the link below. Woo, woo. All right, cool. We are ready to go. Actually, let me go back to YouTube, grab the link, and then we'll be ready to go. And I don't think we had kind of too many headlines this morning, which is nice. All we have to really worry about is the technicals and the technicals playing out, which is a beautiful thing. When you don't have to, take into account a whole bunch of different news coming in and rattling markets, you can just focus on the price action, right? What is going on in that battle between buyers and sellers? All right. Awesome. So we're all posted, good, and ready to go. I mean, I assume that this, that we're going to focus in here whenever I switch off of this. For some reason, the camera does not like when I watch myself. Yeah, can you get it together? And you know what's crazy is that I looked at more advanced quote unquote cameras. I guess we'll get a focus. I don't know if we will or we won't, but I try to look for like a better camera. I was getting all these ads for, better 4K, like webcam cameras, and I'm sure I'll get a bunch of them now that I'm talking about it. There we go. But to be honest, I looked at reviews on them and like none of them were much better than what I'm dealing with now. So it's kind of just like maybe the camera technology will get there. Maybe again, there'll be a, AI plugin that could help enhance camera quality in terms of focusing and the autofocus. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. Luckily, my new mouse is finally inbound. There were some issues with that, but it'll be nice to finally get my mouse game back on top here, as this mouse has been going in and out on me. But let's go ahead and get things popping. As always, guys, we're looking to do what? Get 1% better by the end of this session. We're not looking to do anything crazy, right? We're not looking to discover time travel, reverse global warming. All we want to do is get 1% better than the person that we went to sleep as yesterday, right? If you can go to sleep today, 1% better than what you went to sleep yesterday as, that was a successful day, right? You made amazing progress. So that's what we're focused on today. As a result, you want to make sure you're state that intention for everyone to know. For you yourself, on my Instagram story now every morning, I'm putting some type of quote and some type of confession, right? Because I just want to start my day off on that foot. And I, would love for all you guys to be involved as well. So, if you want to go there, get a good quote, get a good confession for the morning, kind of start off on the right foot. I'll be doing that now, every morning. So excited to continue that, right? And just continuing the culture, the space, and the environment, it's necessary to see opportunity. You got to be in the right mindset. Otherwise, it can be really, really tough. So our top headline here as we dive into today's news is the doves fly. So our central bank rate hikes coming to an end. it is down under, at least for now. The Reserve Bank of Australia is pausing its aggressive tightening cycle, holding rates on Tuesday for the first time in almost a year. Policymakers kept the official cash rate at 3.6%, taking a key timeout to size up the latest market happenings and economic developments. More ammo if required. The decision to hold interest rates steady this month provides the board with more time to assess the state of the economy and the outlook in an environment of considerable uncertainty, explained Philip Lowe, Australia's central bank governor. Now, some further tightening of monetary policy may well be needed. While keeping the door open for a return to rate hikes, growth and stability concerns might soon overtake inflation threats in terms of central banks' top priorities. Other global banks have also been tightening at a rapid pace, with the Federal Reserve hiking interest rates by 475 basis points in 9 successive meetings. Let's see here. Going deeper, the financial turmoil erupting from the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, Credit Suisse, and others hasn't helped the situation as central banks attempt to engineer a soft landing to avoid a recession. Events in the banking system might also contribute to significant tightening in credit conditions over time. And in principle, that means that monetary policy may have less work to do, Jerome Powell noted at the last FOMC meeting, possibly foreshadowing a coming decision. So basically what that means is that because the banks messed up, it's likely that, it'll be tougher, tougher on these banks, and there'll be tighter policy on them and tighter policy on what type of loans they give out, and et cetera, et cetera. And that sort of does the Fed's job for them, because the Fed, is there to decrease demand, right? The Fed is there to make you think twice about taking out a loan, getting that new car, getting that new house, all that stuff, right? Well, you think twice about it as well as a result of this banking crisis, and the banks think twice about it as well as a result of this banking crisis, because the banks sit there and they're like, man, we need to make sure that we have enough money on hand, that we are, abiding by all the regulations that are in place. So that kind of does some of the Fed's job for it. So this banking crisis might end up, again, being something that kind of changes the Fed's path. We have to wait and see. Back to the story here, whether the Fed ends up pulling the trigger on another 25 basis point rate hike in May remains to be seen. But according to the CME's FedWatch tool, those chances have been split down the middle for much of the past week. So no one really knows exactly what's going to happen in terms of this next meeting. This is probably the most uncertain of meetings, especially with, the last round of inflation data we got, being more positive. We'll see, what the Fed ends up doing. It was Michael Burry who warned that they'd stop tightening too early, and then we dive right back down, into recession. We'll see if that ends up being the case. Burry recently came back out and said, he was wrong when he said to sell. I think so as well, right? It was one of those things where he said that right as we were breaking that weekly downtrend, and I was like, and we actually went over that on Wall Street Wednesday, where Jim Cramer said it was time to buy and Michael Burry said it was time to sell. And we talked about how Jim Cramer actually ended up being right. And the market has proven that, right? Because we were up significantly. The NASDAQ is in a bull market, right? All that good stuff. And Michael Burry, was wrong. So he might not be wrong. Time will tell in terms of like, as we progress further, right? This bank failure could not be the last thing, right? That, jumps up out of nowhere and ambushes markets. But overall, from a technical standpoint, he was wrong. And it looks like time has also showed that he was wrong as well. So we'll see, kind of what continues to go on with that. And it's tough too, because Jim Cramer now just only gets hate for being wrong. But there are a few times, when he's right. But so is a broken clock, right? Anyways, in terms of, the FOMC meeting, we'll continue to keep our ears to the streets in terms of like what other countries are doing. That, Powell isn't really moved by other countries. At the end of the day, he's responsible for what happens here. So I don't think he really cares what Australia wants to do or what the Bank of Australia is doing. He's committed to, kind of decreasing inflation here. So we'll see, but we'll get, kind of a clearer picture maybe as we approach this next decision. But I feel like in the past, it's been more kind of solidified in stone what we expect in terms of rate hikes. Now it's kind of like we could be in for a surprise, which means that we could be in for a big move, if we do get that surprise. Now, in terms of the response, shifting over to energy here, comments from U.S. administration officials are pouring in following the surprise production cut from OPEC Plus. WTI crude oil futures held on to gains overnight, climbing 1% to $81.24 per barrel. It follows a nearly 5% gain on Monday. And while 12 of the top S&P 500 gainers were seen in the oil and gas sector, not every analyst is seeing $100 oil as imminent. It's not going to be as bad as you think, President Biden said before boarding Air Force One on a trip back to Washington. Biden. I don't think they shouldn't have said not every analyst believes that, because I would not consider him an analyst. I'm just going to leave that one there. Let's see here. And there were other remarks from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. But yeah, I mean, especially if you hold office, you're just trying to get reelected. So I don't particularly care to listen to anything that you have to say, because at the end of the day, you're not required to tell the truth to me, and I know that, so I'm not going to see is what you say is the truth. I'm going to pay attention to what the world is telling me, what the charts are telling me, because at the end of the day, even the leader of the free world can't control the whole world, right? He's the president of the U.S., but as you can see with what's happening with the dollar and things like that, people don't seem to care what the U.S. thinks of itself, right? And by proxy, they don't seem to care what Biden thinks and what he's asking for. So, bankruptcy. Aftershocks from the SPAC craze that enveloped Wall Street in 2021 are continuing to be felt in the current market environment, with many investors steering clear of loss-making companies. The latest casualty is Virgin Orbit, ticker VORB, which failed to secure more cash months after a historic mission from British soil ended in failure. Without another funding lifeline, Virgin Orbit filed for bankruptcy late Monday after laying off approximately 85% of its staff on March 30th. The firm, which hasn't turned a profit as a public company, is down 25% pre-market to 15 cents per share, and said it would continue a sale process. So another one bites the dust. Again, every dip is not a viable dip. Companies come and companies go, right? Companies live and companies die. It's just like species, and it's tough to say and tough to think about, but there are like the majority of the species that have existed do not exist now, right? So when we say, oh, this is the last of the so-and-so, it is sad, but that's also literally nature. So, it's one of those things where, again, like, not every species, for all my intense animal lovers out there, that's literally the history of the earth, is species coming and species going. So, I love the polar bears, and it does suck that in part, things that ended up for the way that they are, is because of us. But at the end of the day, that's also how the cookie crumbles. There are species that come, species that go. Same thing for companies, right? People think, oh, well, this company, just because it's publicly traded doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean it's going to last, right? People think there's some crazy like validation that comes with being publicly traded. You don't actually have to have a proven business model or prove that you can be profitable to be publicly traded. So you don't think, oh, just because this thing is going down, it has to go back up again. It does not, right? It does not at all. So it's very important to point these instances out so that people don't think that publicly traded stocks are infallible and, oh, well, they got to come back up. They don't. They really don't, right? They can go down and stay down. Moving on to the next segment here, worse than 09. Bank of America's sell-side indicator, which measures equity allocation recommendations, is below its lows during the financial crisis. But as a contrarian indicator, that can be good news for bulls. For those looking for underappreciated stocks, this Raymond James thematic stock pick list has outperformed its benchmark by 30 percentage points since its inception. So I don't think there's much news this morning. They're kind of just pulling from random. I mean, the Bank of America's sell-side indicator, that being one of the main stories this morning, kind of lets us know that it was a little bit slower over morning. But in terms of today's markets, looking majority green across the board. In Asia, Japan up 0.4%, Hong Kong down 0.7%, China down 0.3%, India closed. The footy in London at midday flat, Paris up 0.6%, Frankfurt up 0.9%, the Dow up 0.2%, S&P up 0.3%, NASDAQ up 0.4%, crude oil up 1%, 1%, right? Gold down 0.2%, Bitcoin flat. Not really anything on today's economic calendar. Factory orders at 10, job openings and labor turnover survey at 10, but it's not employment data, so it's like not really. People don't really care too much about that. And then a member of the Fed, Mester, speaks, but that's at 6:45 p.m. after the bell closes, so we don't care. We've already made our money. In terms of markets being up today, not a surprise, right? Not a surprise based off of the charts, based off of the movement that we got yesterday. SPY fired up, right? We've been watching it. Fired that daily bull flag pattern last week, right? We closed above price target number 1 yesterday. We came back down to retrace it, held it, and continued to push. We had a number of, upward positioned plays coming into today, right? So nice profit to go ahead and lock down. What else is happening? We'll finish up here with our rapid fire bullet point rundown. So survey results, WSB community is bullish on the energy sector. Thanks for letting us know what the Wall Street Bets community is up to, because I really cared. Disney's Iger slams DeSantis moves as anti-business, anti-Florida. Paris votes to ban e-scooters, possibly setting precedent. Oh, wow. I think people are over the electric scooters. I know we had them near me. And I liked it because I could, take my little micro transportation all around, but they did disappear. So I'm not sure that that might be a thing, right? Maybe these businesses, people don't like scooters literally just laying on the ground in front of their business. And that's unfortunately what it leads to. So Paris, might be banning that. They're like, hey, we hate these people rolling around on scooters and we don't want them. So who knows? That might end up setting a precedent. Bad news for these e-scooter businesses. AMC slides, ape rises on filed settlement of stock conversion lawsuit. Dogecoin spikes after Twitter home button replaced with token symbol. That's just classic Elon. Every few months, he goes in and does something that gets Dogecoin to pump, probably does it in order to pump his own bags, and then he pulls out and, just more market manipulation. Illumina, ticker ILMN, prepared to divest Grail if FTC appeal fails. FDA poised to authorize second Omicron COVID boosters for some. Monster Beverage, ticker MNST, expected to make a play for Bang Energy Drink. And then Brookfield, ticker BAM, to sell stake in one of the world's largest wind farms. Then DWAC on watch as Trump faces historic criminal charges in New York. And that wraps us up here for the pre-market rundown on April 4th, 2023. Shout out to all you guys for coming in here, right? Investing your time in yourselves in order to make sure that you are setting the correct expectations, setting the correct precedent for today. You cannot go into markets having no idea what's going on and expect to do well, right? Expect to make great trades. As of right now, everything's still looking bullish. We've got to come back down at some time, but until then, we continue to ride the trend, right? The trend is your friend until it's not, and until we see any type of indication that it's not, we continue to ride it, continue to make money off of it, and I'm excited to do so. So everybody else, right, pat yourselves on the back. You invested in yourself. You got 1% better today. As always, if you got even one positive piece of information from this, just show love to the account, right? Show love to the YouTube shorts, to the TikTok, right? Even if that does get banned. Show love to the Instagram Reels. Throw some comments on there. Make sure you're watching those, even for my people who, are with me. You've taken the course. You've done this. You've done that. I still drop valuable information for you, especially for my beginners there. So go through, right? Let me know you watched it. Throw some thumbs up. Throw some fire emojis and continue to educate yourself, because the education happens each and every day. Aren't you guys glad you're part of a community where you can invest in yourself, but also you get a ton of stuff for free? It's amazing, right? I'm glad that I can help curate that. I'm glad that you guys are, being a part of it and help expand it, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody, make sure you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market rundown. Have a good one.